Southwest Florida. Welcome back to Lee Pitts Live. Should I say Dunbar, Lee County, here we're in the city of Fort Myers in the state of Florida. Everybody who's joining us out there in the cyberspace. Just been a thrill here at Mount Hermon Ministries. It just keeps getting better. It's all of them are great and they all have their own life, but this had a life that was so direct and tied to everything that's been talked about. We got a chance to talk to the mayoral candidates for this city of Fort Myers and possibly a historic moment with an African-American becoming the mayor of the city of Fort Myers, Jacqueline McMiller, and the sitting city council councilman Kevin Anderson, who are vying for a seat as mayor that's been occupied by a mayor for about 4 consecutive terms. So this will be all new as Randy Henderson moves on. Anyway, so it was a fantastic thing. The twist to it was we had the clergy asking the questions and the audience participated, and it was full throttle. So without further ado, I'd like to have a few minutes here with the First Lady, Cheryl Glover, and the pastor of Mount Hermon Ministries, the Rev.Dr. William Glover. Let me ask you this. By me calling her name first, did that in the structure, or did I do something wrong?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
This is my wife.
Okay, I just wondered. That's always go male first.
She is as integral to the success of this as I am. So any recognition she gets is deserving.
Yeah,
I'm the one on camera, but I couldn't do this without her.
Okay, great.
I like to say it like this: he's the head, but I'm the neck.
Okay. Because I introduced her first.
So when I make wrong turns and when we're traveling, I tell her it's her fault because she's doing the turning.
Okay, well, I just love being around you guys. The last time we were around each other was last Friday, I think it was, at an event, and it was just a fabulous event. We won't talk about that, but the interviews came out really good. You guys will be seeing them soon. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Really good. That sunlight out there on that water, just
Look forward to it.
Yeah. Tonight, Pastor Glover, I said it's sort of like wrapped all the things that have been happening throughout this pandemic where you started these symposiums. It's kind of wrapped it up, came right down to the election. And it was powerful. Let's talk about let's go back, because I know in your presentation you kind of gave the history of what has been happening here as you close out. I know you're not going to really do it. Close out the year. Because this is just late October, November, December. I don't think you can hold out. Let me tell you something else. Something's going to happen as it relates to the election. We're going to be right back in here.
I believe so.
You remember I said it, I watched. But go ahead.
Prophesying over me.
Sorry, you can't help yourself, man. It's just too much good stuff out there. Go ahead, man. You did a great job, the church and everybody, in putting together all these symposia. But I want to summarize to people who are joining us this for the first time on what has happened here in this church, who has shown some great leadership.
All right. Well, thank you. The history of these symposiums were born in the spring in the midst of the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Especially when the data started to come out that people of color, and in particular African-American people, were being impacted disproportionately to the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And yet those same communities were not believing it was real. And I participated in a forum, I was a keynote speaker, that dealt with the role of the African-American church in communicating accurate, factual information in regards to the coronavirus, and that many communities of faith were actually close to it. And I was a keynote. This perform took place via Zoom in the New England area. And coming off of that, I had the thought, you know what? They not only need education up there in regards to this, we need education here. So I gave some of my clergy buddies a call and say, hey, we need to get together. We need to lead the way in educating our people in regards to this virus. We got in contact with some leading health professionals of color in our community and say, hey, we're putting this forum together. We want to educate. We want to talk about the role of health professionals, the role of the church and clergy in educating and keeping our people healthy. And that gave birth to the first virtual clergy symposium. At the time, I only intended to have one. Didn't have vision beyond that one, and of course a snowball effect happened.
Really?
And immediately everyone would we got to do it again. We got to do it again, and of course. Current issues were kicking off: the virus, racism, policing, the Black Lives Matter, peaceful protest movement, and so we decided to just tap into those current events and allow clergy and the relevant professionals to weigh in on a local level, and that's how we got here tonight.
I just thought it was just a fantastic arc. And then within that process, we had First Lady. We had, I think we had one with all females, and then we had the one with the social justice. Summarize those two.
Well, the one with the all the ladies, that was really from a mother's perspective. We wanted to do something in her voice because, with the racial tensions, we knew they were high. We knew that legislations had to change before we can really deal with a lot of these race issues. But the voice that was forgotten and not heard was that of a mother who's still burying those sons, burying her husbands. And without our voice to know what that really felt like, to understand that we were in continual prayer, although we knew that there were a lot of racist issues that are still going on, but we wanted to make sure our voice was being heard in the midst of that.
And that was a very powerful symposium. And then there was the social justice, and I think you had some political candidates in that one. So, summarize that one.
That was with the millennials.
Right, the millennials,
we
right.
did the millennials because we know they come out swinging. They don't have to have the different personalities to be liked. They know what they stand for, and they stand firm on it. And that one I really enjoyed because it took us to a perspective that a lot of us older generation don't quite see it quite like they do, but they don't have anything to lose. So they can say exactly how they really see it. And this generation is a generation that's been inclusive. So there is no one object or no one thing that they're not afraid to talk about or share how they feel about it. And they can be very vocal. So that was a very interesting group as well.
And to add to that, I didn't get a chance to come to that. My son had a basketball game. He's doing really well. I've seen y'all some pictures down the road. He just recently got MVP in a basketball tournament.
Wow.
He's 11 years
Chip
old.
off the old block.
Yeah,
Huh?
Okay.
but I just wanted to get that in, Brandon. I'm plugging you, man. The only thing that kept me from being at that one, but when you said that the millennials are coming, they're swinging and all of that, I think too that the way that the Mount Hermon Ministries has opened itself up to a wide range of topics. When people walk in the door now for these types of things, they come in here knowing that I can say what I want to say. We open for ideas and discussions and opinions, or everybody's opinion matters. That has been something that has always been the case, or it's been something that you guys have really been manifesting in your ministry, the open inclusion and thoughts of wide range of thoughts. Going to you on that.
Well, we have always had a heart for openness and inclusion. I think the awareness and the growth curve on these issues with us have evolved as they have with most of society who are open enough to evolve with those issues. So I think that's our trajectory. And I agree with you. Our willingness to take these issues on, our willingness to, on that particular night with the millennials, we surrendered the stage and the platform. We stood behind the cameras and supported them and directed them, and we gave them a stage and a platform to amplify their voice. And we personally felt that was needed in a time like this, because as they shared with us, this generation is the least racist, the least prejudiced, the most inclusive, and the most socially conscious generation ever. And to me, that represents the hope for not only the church, but for our communities and our nation. That with them, the future looks brighter and not darker if we can just get through this period of darkness.
If I could just interject too, because when you look at the protesters, they didn't all look one way. It wasn't a lot of the older people. It was this generation that was technology savvy and was out there regardless of what the cost was, because they felt what they felt, and they knew that there was injustice. They did whatever it took to be out there. And the thing I loved about this, because when we're talking about moving the needle, it wasn't just one race. There was a combination of races. That didn't happen because of our grandparents, had laid a foundation. They allowed that to happen. They laid the foundation for it, but it wasn't our group out there doing a lot of the protesting.
It's a new generation of protesters.
It was the inclusion of everybody, but you saw mostly different races from all over, different countries was actually, doing the protesting as well.
And it is really, piggybacking on what you just said, it has really created this degree of everybody coming out talking. I've been, hosting this television show for 30 years. I can see the difference even with any guest that comes on my show, no matter what, they just feel more comfortable now talking about a wide range of things, all races. And I just seen that quick shift. I want to go back to what you said, technology. I know a lot of factors led to what we saw, what we see happening in this country. There's a feeling of change just sweeping through the air. Every day is constantly. We're leading up on the election, and we may see some change there as well. But people are having these instruments in their hands. They're able to see things with their own two eyes and say, I'm not that. That's not cool. Yes. Okay. And no matter what the old generation is saying, they're fighting against it. Go on that, Pastor Glover.
Well, the technology has revolutionized how we live. Our the accessibility of information, and not only information, but the ease in which we can communicate, share thoughts, share ideas. America is about influencing people, not by the point of the gun, not through coercion, but influencing people in the marketplace of ideas. And the revolution in technology has it's equalized that playing field. You don't have to own a media company now to get your ideas out to the masses. There is great responsibility that come with that, and as with anything, there are those who abuse it to mislead and put propaganda out. But then there are also those who use it for a greater good and put needful information out. And I think it's even allowed us to extend our ministry, our work beyond the walls of the church, because what we have done tonight is going to be on social media through platforms like your show. I mean, perpetually, people will be able to go back view it. So it's an exciting time to be alive and to witness all these things happening.
Do you feel, staying with that same theme, and I'll go with you on the same question, First Lady, do you feel like you live in a moment of history, like history is unfolding now? We're living in a real interesting time that we're going to look back at?
I think we're living at a shift. There are things that have happened throughout the history of mankind that shift how people lived. The printing press, the invention of electrical light, telephone, television, computers, the internet, and now the advent of putting all of that in people's hands in one device, and how that is shaping society. People are having to articulate views. No longer can you assume that because you assume an authoritarian posture, what you say is going to be accepted. People are going to investigate. They're going to weigh it to see if it's accurate or not. and you have to demonstrate and prove, your moral authority or whatever authority you're asserting.
You were sitting right up there in the symposium doing research and said, hey, I just researched this right on the spot.
Absolutely.
It was just the information is available right there. The First Lady, let's narrow this down to the city of Fort Myers. Mm-hmm. I think all of us at least been here around here 20 years. I've been around here about 30 years. Born and raised. Were you born and raised here as well?
I've been here almost all my life.
Okay. So we black people in this particular case, we observed a lot of things. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, the atmosphere is different now. It seems like that people realize that they got to be accountable and they need to do something, or they're gonna not get favorably treated anymore. I mean, that's where it seems to me. It's like what we saw in here tonight was so fascinating. We actually got a black person running for mayor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've had some sparkles here and there, but nobody who's really made it to the general election like this. Where are we going now? What's...
Well, what we've just heard is we are no further along than we were 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the days of the good old boys club, you scratch my back and I scratch your back, and we're going to stay across this side of the railroad tracks. Those days are over. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that when you look at our millennials who are speaking the points that they see, and they're so open to call it out. Mm-hmm. Those days of just walking away because you don't want to cause any problems, it's over. and to have someone who is of color, who's running for position, who understands what's going on in this community, is what we need. The problem is we have people that are in positions who don't know the people or their constituents, so they're able to still go where they want to go, come to our churches when they're trying to run for elections, and then go back doing what they're doing. But now we're pulling them on the carpet and we're not doing this anymore. Mm-hmm. Those days are over. And I think what's really has happened is when President Barack Obama ran, it really ignited a lot of people who would have never voted before. Mm-hmm. Now they understand their voice matters, mm-hmm. and they understand that you don't have to be so emotional. Just vote your emotion.
That's a good point. And the emotion piece, mm-hmm. because I'm on social media and I said something. I said that people could take from the primaries. I'm paraphrasing myself, but I said people can take from the primaries that a lot of times all of the noise, some people will make a lot of noise, mm-hmm. and then other people will just be quiet and be voting. And then they'll be putting people in office and not rah-rah-rahing, and they'll be strategically planning. And the next thing you know, they got their 50% and they on back on the school board, and you never even, how did this person get 50%? Mm-hmm. Just quietly voting. Have people who count those votes. And that's what we need to learn. We need to make sure that we vote. Okay. Emotion. All right, go ahead. Let me put a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the question?
Oh, man.
No,
okay.
But back to what you were just saying, though, because you're right. Everybody, you'll see something, everybody's upset, they're rushing, they're talking about this. But then when it's time for election,
you said it so smoothly.
They wouldn't do anything. So now you have, torn up a place, you've got emotional. But where the power is in the box. So for you to go through all of that process and not go to the box, you have no right to say anything.
Mm-hmm. And in this symposium, Pastor Glover, I was looking at all these questions just flying in. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if that energy, mm-hmm. we already know that maybe 50% of the people who are registered to vote have already voted. I know that you probably were saying if I had to do this all over again, Lee, I would have done it last week. Okay. But that's okay because of the mail-ins and everything. But we got a strategy now going forward. Mm-hmm. If that energy that I saw coming in, boom, 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 I'm like, whoa. If that energy is manifested in getting registered to vote and voting, change is on the way.
And I agree. And there are indicators that energy is translating. Mm-hmm. People are reluctant to trust it because of how wrong the polling was in 2016. So you see it, the data is there, but there's a reluctancy to fully embrace it for fear that the pontiffs might be wrong again. Mm-hmm. But there are eye tests, observations to be made that suggest that it is translating. And one has to do with the number of people who have casted ballots. One has to do with how long people are willing to wait in line in the elements to cast their vote.
Very reminiscent of Barack Obama.
Absolutely. So there are eye tests that suggest what we're seeing, what the numbers are showing is actually rooted in something real. And then the other thing too is everyone now knows nationally in ways who the incumbent is.
Right.
You know,
so you have a track record.
It was an unknown beforehand.
Correct.
And so, and I think that translates down ballot. And so I think one or two things will happen. Next week will be historic and sweeping.
On so many levels.
Or it will be miserably disappointing for some. And people will have to rethink how we are assessing the political paradigm. But I tend to trust those eye test things that I see, and I'm encouraged by the energy that's out there.
Not to get too caught up, get too church and state ish, First Lady. When you have well, this will be coming from my mouth. So if you have a president has shown a lot of racist tendencies in terms of stuff, and still get all those votes last time. What does that say about America?
Well, I would like to say something, but I don't want to get slammed for it. When you think about all the votes he got for his first election, what it says about America is he allowed the rhetoric that he was providing for people who were using sheets before, he allowed them to take them off and be truly who they are. And what we've done is we've gone further back than we have ever been. And the worst thing about all of this is I'm just waiting to see if they're still going to be so openly racist with the hatred they have for people that they've never gotten a chance to know.
You said enough. Final question. You are pretty good at prophesizing. I've heard you. Look, you predicted a couple of things a while back. You said, Lee, open the country up too early. You're going to be right back closing it down. Then you were telling me then next time I saw you, I said, I told you, Lee, you're like, yeah. The vote count. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, it's going to be so much controversy around the counting of the votes and the announcement of the president. Do you think that's going to happen, or you think it's going to be a smooth process in terms of getting those votes counted and getting a number out there?
I think it's going to be largely smooth.
Okay.
But I do think the caution and the vigilance is warranted. I think getting those votes in early is going to help that process.
You even went out and voted for your mom. You dropped
absolutely.
off the ballot.
I dropped her ballot off to the box. You want to see a picture of it?
I saw that picture. Yeah,
that's just the historic nature of this.
75.
She's 78,
right.
And she wanted to weigh in. And so went over ballot with her. She checked where her convictions were, and I dropped that off. But I don't think it will be as folks say it'll be the worst case scenario. But I think there may be pockets where folks feel emboldened. I think our democracy, our institutions, our systems that make a democracy work, they're still in place. Some are at a point where they're stressed, but I still believe they're functional. I still believe in America and I still believe in our institutions, despite the attempt to erode. And in the end, I think they will prevail. Now, if it goes the way that the incumbent wants it to go, I don't have that same encouragement for another 4 years. But as of this conversation, I feel confident that we have enough of our democracy and the strength of our institutions left to weather an election if it doesn't go the incumbent's way.
Name that ministerial organization that you and some other African American ministers are a part of that's predominantly white, though, and then I'll get to my question. What's the name of that?
It's Lee Interfaith for Empowerment. We're an interdenominational organization, interreligious organization that focuses on identifying systemic justice issues, engaging our community officials to find resources and to implement them for all of Lee County.
Do you feel hopeful from being a part of that organization and being in there? I know you're not a potted plant in these meetings, and I know you're not a potted plant in these meetings. Do you sense a sense of change in their personalities, ideology, awakeness towards a new day and just the whole big picture?
Well, not only am I not a potted plant, I'm a founding member.
Right.
I sit on the executive board. I've served as president a number of terms, and Mount Hermon is a flagship church.
So you were there before the social unrest.
Absolutely.
You can see a switch.
Absolutely. Well, this particular organization has had the foresight to get ahead of these issues, to seek solutions before they surfaced in any type of racial or political tension or unrest.
Okay.
And the clergy across the board and the congregations that are involved, to me, has been a part of the most effective, racially inclusive organizations that I've ever been a part of.
Really?
There absolutely has been no discrimination in terms of Black leadership. And our policies, our process is our process, and we all commit to that. So any clergy who's looking for good, solid, strong clergy relationships, looking for ways to interface and leverage your congregation to help make a difference in our community, I recommend taking a strong look at Lee Interfaith for Empowerment.
How can is there a website or anything like that?
There is a Facebook page, Lee Interfaith for Empowerment. You can get in contact with our lead organizer through there, or you can contact me through my Facebook page, Waymel Glover, and I'll get you in contact.
Okay. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, it's been a pleasure. I know we'll be back here before the year's out, but I'm going to go and
That's
drink.
more work, Lee.
I know. I didn't know you. But I got it. Hey, I don't even know that this physical change in here. Was it here the last time?
We've been changing gradually.
Right. Looks so good.
Over these 6-7 months.
Yeah, keep up the good work, and we'll just continue to. This pandemic has allowed us to have more media, more ways to communicate. Some blessings came out of that. You would never have created all this had it not been for the pandemic. No. I see your ministry. I see you using this your iPhone too, doing things. Everybody just talking to everybody now. You can stay in the house in your pajamas. Those who still sleep in pajamas, I don't know who those people are, but I just get on my phone. I see it. Anybody sleep in pajamas anymore?
We're not taking a survey.
Okay, I'm telling. I haven't slept in pajamas since. Man, I just sleep in some shorts and whatever. I need to try to be.
Move on, Lee.
All right, so I just get up and there you are on the phone, man. On Sunday morning.
I'm trying to send them a rope.
All right, so let me get out of that. Your mom here yet? Okay. Hey, anyway, so keep up the good work. And let's just continue to push the envelope. And that organization that you are a part of, I think after the election, it's going to be even more important to make some things actually happen. And unity, there's strength.
And we picked up 5 additional congregations during this pandemic. And let me plug our host on his own show before we depart.
Okay.
And I don't say this to blow smoke, but you have always been, but especially during this pandemic, you have surfaced and presented yourself as a champion for issues and causes that impact this community. And you've been very valuable to the success of these symposiums as well. So from me, on behalf of Mount Hermon Ministries and our community, I just want to say thank you to you.
All right, I will
being you and
accept
doing
that
what you
with
do.
humility.
Yes.
Thank you very
You've
much.
got a lot of passion about what you do, and you're driven in such a way that is just awe-inspiring.
Wow.
So thank you. For
Wow,
all
got
you
that
do.
on. Well, I appreciate it. All right, let me leave it on that good note. For those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like First Lady Glover, Pastor Glover, Mount Hermon Ministries, and all the other people who are doing it. Right here on Lee Pitts Live. We'll see you.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello, Southwest Florida. Thanks for watching Lee Pitts Live. Of course, I'm Lee Pitts. I hope you enjoy that particular show, but you can always catch us here on YouTube. Just click on the subscribe button down there. That way you can get your Lee Pitts Live on demand when you want it and how you want it. We also encourage you to watch our show on Fox 4 and connect with us on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live.